Rev up your engines!
Well, here we go in the continuing saga of the Jeep Cherokee name. If you've been following it, the Cherokee Nation says they don't like it. The owner of Jeep now says that he's open to dropping the Cherokee name. Obviously, they wanted money, and I don't think he wants to give any money. Mr. Tavares says, and I quote, "We are ready to go to any point up to the point where we decide with the appropriate people with no intermediary." Well, you know what that means? That means he's not dealing with lawyers. I suppose Native Americans already hired lawyers to say they're going to get some money out of the deal, right? Tavares is just saying, okay, we'll drop it. We'll talk about it. But we're not talking with your lawyers. At least I got to give it to the Mr. Tavares guy. That is still honest. He's playing hardball. He's not one of these mamby-pamby, politically correct, afraid of their own shadow people. He say, yeah, hey, we could do anything. We could drop the name, No big deal to us. But don't bring the lawyers in. I got to agree with him on this one. Anthony Ardacci says, I'm looking at a 2012 Dodge Avenger for my first car with 67,000 miles. I could get it for $4,500. It feels nice and goes. It would be a good first car. Let me tell you something. The Dodge Avengers were one of the worst cars ever made. Those were made when it was Chrysler, right? Then Daimler bought it. It was Daimler Chrysler. Then they were losing a fortune. So they sold it to a holding company. And those things, 2012 Dodge Avengers, that's when the holding company owned them. Then after 7 years, the holding company was smart, sold it to Fiat. Then it became Fiat Chrysler. Those are amongst the worst cars that Chrysler ever made in that interim period because that company was a holding company. They didn't care. All they wanted to do was sell it on to somebody else. Daimler Chrysler, actually Daimler made Chrysler a little bit better for a while, but they lost so much money, they said, the heck with it, sell this company. We're bleeding money dry. And with Fiat, of course, the quality is even further down the line. They're rolling piles of junk, and they were replaced by, hilariously enough, when Fiat bought it, they got rid of it and replaced it with the Chrysler 200, which was even a bigger pile of garbage that they made for a few years. They don't make those anymore either. So if I were you, look someplace else. Now, I mean, if you're nuts about the car, they're worth nothing. Offer the guy a couple of grand for it, because that's about all they're worth. For a couple of grand, okay, but $4,500, what a waste of money. Those are rolling piles of junk as they age. Bradward says, Scotty, a family member's looking to buy a new compact SUV. She's looking at Nissan Kicks and Ford Escapes. I know the Toyota Hondas are better, but she's not looking to spending that kind of money on a new SUV. What would you recommend? Well, I'd recommend she change her mind, forget new and go used. You get a used Toyota or Honda small SUV, like a Matrix or any of the Hondas that are out there. They're excellent vehicles and they go 300,000-400,000 miles. So even if you buy one that's got 80,000-90,000 miles, it's got tons of life left. Where if you buy a Nissan Kick or a Ford Escape, generally when they go to 90,000, 100,000 miles, they start falling apart. And you're going to pay money for a new one. You can get the used ones cheaper than the new ones if you get a used Toyota or used Honda, and you're going to get a much better SUV. They're just so much better made. The Nissan makes crap, and the Ford is mediocre. I mean, if you're forced to do that, get the Escape. Don't get a Nissan. They're piles of junk. But still, for life, the Honda and the Toyota SUVs are so much better, and they last so much longer. And they made millions of them. There's plenty of used ones for sale. I saw a thing the other day that they were bragging that, when they're 4 years old, the Toyota still has 60% of its value. Well, what the heck? If you can buy it for 60% of the original price, it's 4 years old, it's probably still got 90% of its life. So why not buy it then? You're getting a great deal. You never get a good deal buying a new car. You're always paying too much. It doesn't matter what you buy. James St. Clair says, I want to paint my aluminum rims. My aluminum rims had a clear coat and it faded away. I stripped them, but then you got to polish them all the time. Can I paint my rims? Could you do whatever you want? If you're good at painting, go right ahead. I'm horrible at painting. I painted stuff and it looks like garbage. Or, you know what I'd advise you? Find a good paint body shop and tell them you want your rims painted. See what they charge you. They got all the equipment. They can sandblast all the chips and everything off your aluminum rims and then prime them and then paint them, and they will look fantastic. I've seen people do that, and they know what they're doing. I mean, if you want a half-ass job, sure, just get a can of spray paint, clean them all off, get them dry with some alcohol, let it dry off, and then spray paint them. But unless you're really good at spray painting, it's going to look like crap. Now, let's say you're an artist, you got a little airbrush machine. Go ahead, airbrush your wheels. You can do a good job if you really know how to do it. I don't. I've tried, and it looks horrible. I would just pay a paint body guy, give them the rims and say, hey, sandblast and paint them. I mean, I've had kids that, they'll even paint them on a car. car. They'll get some tape and they'll tape the rubber tire, and then they just spray it on the car. They wouldn't even take it off the car. And of course, they don't look all that good when you get up close to them. Well, if you like 18-wheeler trucks and an original Transformer movie, you can now own Optimus Prime for $21.6 thousand. If you now remember, at the end of the movie, they had the big 18-wheeler truck driving over the Golden Gate Bridge. Well, the guy who owns that truck is now selling it. Granted, it hasn't started for about a year, and it's missing a few pieces, but you can own a piece of movie history for $21.6 thousand. If you got enough space to put that giant 18-wheeler sitting up there, you can own Optimus Prime. Of course, it's the real one in the movie that does not have superpowers and can't transform into anything except probably a hulking pile of rust, considering that it hasn't started in over a year. The owner does say that it's 65% running, whatever the heck that means. Though he does say he's open to any offer. He doesn't want the truck destroyed. He wants it to have a good, happy home. The owner says, I'd rather sell him cheap to a good home than let him die in my yard, sitting there rusting away. You want to own Optimus Prime? You got 20 grand or so? Give the man a ring. Omar says my 2014 Vespa, you might know it as a Yamaha Nias, has 43,000 kilometers, and its top speed is 50 kilometers, 31 miles per hour. But the speedometer goes up to 80. How can I increase my speed to the original? Well, here's the thing. I've never been on one of those. I don't know what the actual top speed is. Look it up. And if the top speed is 50 kilometers an hour, that's all it's going to go. Speedometer doesn't mean squat. I've seen cars that have speedometers that went to 200 miles an hour, and they could barely do 110. It doesn't mean anything. Look it up. And if it says that governed to go only 50 kilometers an hour, that's all you're going to be able to get out of the thing. But I've never actually driven one of those Vespas, so I don't know. It might be that's as fast as it was made to go, and then it's as fast as it's going to go unless you do some major modifications. I know guys in England soup those things up so they go 100 miles an hour, but these guys are really into it. Modify the engine, the exhaust, the ignition system. I even know a guy who put a turbocharger on one. Well, here's a warning of buying stuff from eBay. Top Gun Bikes sends me an email and says, here's a warning you should share with all your viewers. I recently bought on eBay, in quotation, brand new 4-tire pressure sensors for my 2010 Mercury Mariner. They were $30 on eBay. They said they were brand new. Now, they were $50 a piece at the dealer, so I thought, what a deal. I had them installed, $120 to have them installed because they had to take tires apart, and they didn't work. Well, I looked, and they're OEM parts all right, but they were like 8-10 years old, and the batteries were gone. So be wary of what you buy on eBay. Well, I've been saying that for years. I buy locally myself, because if there's a problem, bam, I go back. They know who I am. I know who they are. Companies like AutoZone. They buy a lot of stuff from China, yeah. But if it's bad, they get feedback. They get bad feedback, they'll buy from a different company in China, not the one they've been buying from. If you go to them, there's a lot more going on. Big company, if they make mistakes in volume, they got to change it to something else, and they're always watching it with computer programs. eBay, anything goes. It's the Wild West. So not only did he waste his money buying them, but he had to pay $120 to have them installed. So be very leery about buying stuff on eBay, especially electronic parts. LX172 says, I got a 2005 Pontiac Vibe I bought in 2010. The radio never worked all that well when I leave the metro area. I've unplugged the antenna and replaced it with an inexpensive retractable antenna that I wedged inside the dash. Reception is better, but not great. Any ideas? Well, you got to really have the antenna outside the car. You want to mount it on the hood or on the side or somewhere because it's got to be outside. And once it's outside, it'll probably work perfectly fine. Just get a regular cheap antenna. You can get AutoZone, sells tons of them. You can drill a hole in the fender if you want to stick it there, or you can get the kind that glue on, but it's got to be outside. That's why it's working in a metro area where there's more stations. It's powerful. When you get out, you need it outside to pick it up. That's all. You just need to mount an antenna outside. Or you can do what some of those people do. They get those string antennas with tape on them, and you can put it on the inside of the window and make it go the whole way around on the inside. They're tape and they're a piece of wire. Those will work too if you want to get one of those antennas. But you can't use a regular one, stick it inside. It's got to be outside. Kaizen says, are Sprinter vans reliable? I see them all over the place. They're commercial. What's the category that might last the longest with less problems? They are mainly commercial vehicles, and I've customers with them and they love them. Now, you're going to pay for them. They're not cheap. And if you really want a Sprinter to last a long time, get a diesel Sprinter. Don't get the gasoline one. Get the diesel one. one. In terms of just plain old vans, you can't beat a Toyota Sienna van, but it's not as big as a Sprinter van. You want a big, tall, giant thing, I would say get a Sprinter van. If you can go with a smaller size, get a Toyota Sienna van, you could gut it. You could turn that into a camper van too if you really wanted to. But the Sprinter has a lot of room. It's really RV size inside, so you could do a lot. A lot of people have converted those things to camper. There's the Ford one too, but those transit vans, the bigger ones, they can be a bit iffy. And I've seen people buy them, and they've had a lot of problems with them as they aged. They were okay when they were new, but when they got older, they got pretty expensive to fix. And they did break down a lot as they got older. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.